Mr. Caputo. Go ahead, Mr. Caputo, for 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bardizzi. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, that's right.
Great, thank you. And Professor Bradshaw, I appreciate you both being here. Now, Professor Bradshaw, you're currently, it sounds like a tenure-track professor in the U.S., is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, and this isn't bad or good or anything, I'm just wondering, have you lived in Canada or just stayed here during an election campaign or anything like that?
I have. Even though I live and work in the U.S., I'm actually Canadian, so.
Okay, perfect. Well, then that's good. So you'll be up to date, I'm sure, on a lot of Canadian political happenings. If you could name each of you, you all have your area of expertise, and sometimes we get very nuanced area of expertise, but I always like to ask this question. If you could change one thing that would inhibit misinformation, disinformation, you've talked a lot about social media, if you were responsible in this area for the Canadian government, what would you do first thing tomorrow? First, Professor Bradshaw.
Sure. I think I would be working around issues that have more to do with platform transparency. And I say this because I think even especially with the Canadian context, we actually don't have a very good empirical understanding of how the activities that we see state actors engage in translate to changes in behavior, and particularly voting behavior. I think there are some real measurable consequences of these kinds of campaigns when they, for example, attack activists or female journalists, because there's clear kind of political suppression happening with very measurable consequences that appear in the literature. But getting somebody to change their mind or to alter their voting behavior, these kinds of things are very ingrained and embedded in our identities, and being able to actually get access to better data to study social media's immediate effect on those kinds of attitudinal changes over time, I think is really, really important to enhance a lot of the concerns raised by the field. We're starting to develop more empirics and evidence around this, but we need better access to data. And so that's where I would really start if I wanted to see changes. I unfortunately don't think that there is a silver bullet solution to mis and disinformation. There isn't something that we can immediately do to make this problem kind of go away, because it's kind of something that's really at the conflux of human behavior and the real technical design of platforms that might incentivize certain kinds of information to go viral over others, which again is also socially shaped by the people who are interacting with it. And so it's something that will need a lot more long-term attention to. So I think starting with the empirics and getting a better grounding and understanding of the causal mechanisms will be really, really important.
Sounds like we're looking at a 10 to 20 year project here based on the way you said it. And Mr. Bardizzi, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I definitely endorse every single thing that Professor Bradshaw said, and to create that fact base for policymakers is really important. I will maybe answer with two quick points. One, a longer term project, but to have an olive system, education system response that brings in the media companies and those who are collectively responsible for creating a shared space for debate and factual presentation, and that I believe is a shared actually responsibility between educators and the media sector. And the second, I'll come back to, I think the passage of the Online Harms Act, Bill C-63, would have a positive effect on some of these phenomena.
One thing that I'm struck by as a parliamentarian, and I came in partway through this study, but you talk about deepfakes and I have my idea of what that is. One of the things that really gives me concern is just how easy it is to create such content, and secondarily, how easy it is to disseminate such content. given those two factors, are we really in a situation where rather than, as opposed to prevention, we're really looking at management?
I think yes, but I also think that in the context of, mis and disinformation and coordinated efforts to manipulate election processes, there's a much longer kill chain for, the technical kind of platform speak around an information operation. In order to get the deep fake on the platform and going viral, you have to be able to create a fake account. And in order to create the fake account, you have to deceive a lot of the internal systems within these platforms. And so I think even though there is an easier ability to kind of create and disseminate deep fake related content, if we're talking about it in the context of an information operation, we still need to consider the broader life cycle that these operations have to go through. And a lot of the mitigation measures have nothing really to do with the AI side of things. It still relies much more on, the old school kind of IP detection and all of the tricks that platforms play to figure out if this is a real person or a fake account.
Thank you, Professor Bradshaw, Mr. Caputo. We're going to go to Mr. Baines for